Greetings, beautiful earthlings. My name is Star. If you are new here, I don't know how you found me, but I am super grateful to have you. And if you are returning, y'all the real MVP, you already know. This one is a quick update, my friends, to talk to you guys about another really amazing deck that I have in my hands that you guys don't get to see very much of. So a viewer did actually request this of me a couple videos ago. I think it was on maybe one of my tarot interview videos, and she asked if I could do more with the Cosmic Slumber Tarot because you guys haven't really seen anything about it since I did my unboxing and my review, right? So I wanted to get a really good bond with this deck before I talk to you guys more about it. I will have a tarot deck interview video coming with this one soon. I am still doing a lot of bonding with this deck, but I want to say this is one of the very few decks that I did bond with kind of immediately right out of the box. This is a very strong powered deck. At least mine is, right? Every tarot deck's different. The energy of every tarot deck is different, but mine is very strong. So this is the beautiful super special limited edition one, right, with the silver edging and everything. And this, you know, that's where the tarot bag came from. If you guys haven't seen that unboxing and that review, I'll link it below. Why not? So this is a very special deck, and when I was reading through all of the fun stuff that Tillie, Walden, and Liminal 11 put out about this deck, I had kind of read up on where Tillie Walden got the idea to create this deck, and she had... It's one of those beautiful inspired works, right, where she was having dreams about this tarot deck, and all of the images on this deck came from, you know, some kind of dream that she had. And if you guys have not seen my special limited edition review, I do show in there like the little coloring book that comes in there. And I love that coloring book because it actually shows the original pictures that Tillie Walden had drawn and then the actual published pictures that came out with the deck. So some of these images have changed a whole lot, and I love it. I'm so inspired by like the colors and the images, and just, oh my goodness, this deck through and through is really amazing, right? I know there's a lot of people that love this deck. I haven't seen too many people that don't like this deck. You know, I'm sure they exist because everyone's different, but because this deck was inspired by Tillie Walden's dreams, I wanted to kind of keep up with that in the way that I treat this deck. So I charged this deck with a piece of blue kyanite, and this is a very tiny piece of blue kyanite, as you guys can see. This was gifted to me by a friend a really long time ago. She thought it was moonstone, but I found out it is actually blue kyanite. I feel like you can't really even tell by the way that the camera is showing it. But usually all of my decks have a stick of selenite with them in the bag, and that's why I like keeping them in a bag, because I can do that. Most boxes don't have enough room to throw a stick of selenite in there with them. But this one, I charged this one with blue kyanite. Kyanite is a very special stone that does not absorb negativity. You guys already know I do wear a piece of black kyanite as well at all times, and I do still cleanse them, right? Even though they don't absorb negativity, I feel like it's still nice to get a nice smoke cleanse every once in a while to kind of feed their energy. But the experience that I've had with this deck, okay, if you guys... I feel like I might have talked about this at one point in time a long time ago, but back when I used to do a lot of free readings for the group that I was a moderator in, I used to either let the client pick the deck, or I would ask my decks kind of as a group which of them would like to come forward. So what I used to do was ask the decks which of them wanted to read that day, and I would pull all of those decks, and then I would, you know, put crystals on those decks and let the client choose from those decks which one called to them the most, so that I would read with that one. I have since kind of changed that. I don't really do that anymore. I still kind of go through the same process of asking them which ones would like to read, but instead I ask for the specific person and the intention of the reading, and I'll say which one wants to read for this person for this intention. And I usually kind of get one deck out of that, and then I'll read with that when I do the, you know, client video readings and stuff. But this deck, I have noticed, at least, again, like I said, every deck is different. So the energy of my Cosmic Slumber Tarot personally is a very high vibrational deck, and this Cosmic Slumber Tarot is It's one of the very few decks I have that does not have a name, does not have a gender identity, and that's one of the reasons that I haven't done a tarot interview with it yet. I did kind of go over that with you guys in the explaining my tarot deck interview series video, that there are some decks I have that don't want to give me a name, they don't want to give me a gender identity, they kind of feel like it's silly, like I'm a tarot deck, I don't need a name, I don't need a gender identity for our bond, right? It doesn't have any effect on our bond at all, and it doesn't affect how I read for you at all. So this is one of those decks that gave me that answer, and I haven't since bothered it much for a name because that's how it feels about it. So I really love reading with this deck. I did recently do an entire zodiac spread of readings, and I feel like this deck may have only come out once or twice for those readings. I did have about 10, I think a little over 10 tarot decks on my table at the time so that I could figure out which ones my guides wanted to use for each specific zodiac. And this one, again, like I said, only came out once or twice, and this deck is so highly intuitive, my friends. For me as a reader, this is so highly intuitive. And when I first got it, I was a little intimidated by it because, you know, it's the special limited edition and it's just beautiful and it's got this beautiful silver edging and I didn't want to mess it up. And I'm really glad that I chose to keep going and keep bonding with it and keep reading with it. And I didn't actually do like personal readings with this one like I do for a lot of my decks. I will take a lot of time to do personal readings and free readings and things like that to bond with it. This is one of those decks that all I did was spend time with it, look through every single card, bond with every single card, shuffle it a whole lot and sleep with it and carry it around with me. Like I did a whole lot of external bonding with it that did not include readings. And I feel like that really helped, at least with the energy of the relationship that I have with this deck. Because now this deck to me is kind of a very authoritative deck. I wonder if I can get the picture. If you guys have ever seen this one, haha. Like I said, very intuitive, very all-knowing deck. So this is the sense that I get from this deck. I did use this card in like an angel reading. I think it was for the Great Conjunction, and this has come up in quite a few readings since. This is the card that I get of a relationship with your guides and, you know, the higher knowing knowledge and things like that. I know that's not typically what the Justice card is about, but that is the message that I get for this card specifically, and that's why I say it is important to bond with every single card in your deck, because every single card may very well give you very off-the-wall type of messages for what they're supposed to be. Your names and your keywords are just kind of guidelines for your deck to learn to work with, for your guides to learn to work with, for the messages they're trying to get across. So this specifically is the card that I associate with this deck. This is the exact feeling that I get with connecting with this deck. You know, me being this little human down here, this deck being this beautiful, all-knowing, big entity, right? This is... I feel like I only have the same feeling for two other decks. That is my White Witch Tarot and my Hermetic Tarot. And I have told you guys in both of those videos, I feel like that's because, for one, those are only the majors. The White Witch Tarot has very crazy imagery. It's one of those meant to be intuitively read decks. And the Hermetic Tarot also is made of alderwood. The one that I have is made of alderwood. So they're both very special decks. They're both very, very beautiful, very, very intricate decks. And I feel like this, maybe I perceive this deck the same way. So that could very well be why I have that type of connection with this deck. But I do feel like this is a very beautiful, very intricate deck. I really love all of the really amazing time that Tillie Walden put into this deck. Like, I really resonate so very much with these colors. I'm a very yellow and pink kind of person, and Tillie Walden has a lot of yellow and pink in this deck. Very bright, vibrant yellows, pinks, purples, blues, just really, really vibrant colors. So I really resonate with this deck a whole lot, and I really love that I can have such an intuitive conversation with this deck. I don't know if you guys have seen the reading that I did with this deck. I don't know off the top of my head which zodiac it was for, but I could literally sit here and make an entire story off of pulling every single card and just keep going. This is also how I speak with a modern witch. For some reason, these two decks are very extremely intuitive to me, and I can just keep creating stories and an entire storyline and really get an entire conversation just card after card after card, as opposed to something like the Rider-Waite where I feel like I need to give more time to each card. I really need to overanalyze each card and get a lot of clarification. For some reason, that's the type of connection that I have with my Rider-Waites, whereas this one, I don't feel like these cards need clarification. I feel like they're very clear cut, they're very intuitive, each card has their own message, and each message plays into a bigger message, and it's just really seamless, the types of messages that I get from the Cosmic Slumber Tarot and the Modern Witch alike. They're both very seamless. Maybe it's because I don't read reversals in these decks. These decks, at least the books that come in the Liminal 11 decks, don't have reverse meanings. They don't have divinatory meanings. They only have kind of one meaning. And I like to read the decks the way that the artists intended them to be read, and that's not saying that it needs to be read that way. That's just saying I personally like to read them the way that they are written in the book. So if a deck, say like the Rider-Waite, does have upright, divinatory, and reverse meanings, so I will read it in multiple ways, and I feel like that's why I feel like there's so much clarification needed for the Rider-Waite, whereas these ones, there's only one meaning in the book for each of these cards, so I like to really just take each card at face value, take the messages that each card gives me, and keep moving and keep building on that message. So I have a super beautiful connection with this deck. I really, really love working with this deck, and I let this deck choose when it comes out. I don't go, man, I love the connection I have with this deck, I need to use it more and all the time. I really don't want to stress this deck out. I don't want to stress out the energy because I do have so many tarot decks. I don't feel the need to read with the one that I love the very most. This is probably top 3 bonded decks that I have, to be completely honest. You guys already know my what is that deck called? The Centennial in a Tin, my deck Enigma, is the strongest bond out of all of the decks that I have. The only other deck that I have that I feel that very bonded to is probably the White Witch. I have a crazy connection with the White Witch. Like, I have a crazy connection with the Hermetic Tarot, but not as strong as these other 3. The Wooden Hermetic Tarot is probably number 4. Like, it's very close. These decks to me just immediately bonded to me, immediately like braided into my DNA and my psyche, and they just talk to me in such a different way than any of my other decks do. And I feel like it could be either the way that I perceive the decks or the way that I chose to bond with the decks. I'm not entirely sure. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of a follow-up because the Cosmic Slumber Tarot is really a crazy, amazing deck. If you guys are following Liminal 11 or Tillie Walden on socials at all, you will see, you know, this deck gets used a whole lot, at least all over Liminal 11's Instagram. They do kind of switch between the Modern Witch, the Cosmic Slumber, and right now they're also using the White Newman because that is going to be another one that is coming out in the next month, I believe. So I really, really love reading with this deck. I really do. And I didn't want you guys to think that the reason that I wasn't using it on camera is because maybe I didn't like it or maybe I didn't bond with it or, you know, personal preference or whatever. So I did kind of make these videos today, not only the Modern Witch daily challenge video, but also this one, because I wanted you guys to know, like, I do still have these decks, I do still love these decks, I do still find uses for them. I just don't go out of my way to use them for everyday use because they have very special uses, they have very special bonds, and, you know, I just really, really want to keep them special, if that makes sense. I feel like if I overuse them, they're going to be a little less special to me, and that's why I have my daily decks, which are my Rider-Waites, because, you know, you can never get enough of the Rider-Waite, right? But I think that's all I've got to say about this deck. I did really love going through the book a whole lot too, because Tillie Walden talks about each of these cards in a dreamlike fashion and kind of looks at it through the lens of dreams. If you guys don't already have this deck, I highly suggest it. If you guys do already have this deck, please go read your book. I highly suggest it. I really love reading through either the Cosmic Slumber or the Modern Witch book whenever I get a chance, because they're just written so differently than, you know, like the Rider-Waite book. They're not just cut and dry, this is the meaning. They try to relate it to you in some fashion and try to make it a lot easier on the understanding and the reading and the relating and stuff like that. It's just a lot more fun to deal with. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, please give me a big old thumbs up. You know that helps me out so very much. If you didn't like this video, that's cool. Thumbs down. You don't have to like my video. Say whatever you want in the comments because y'all do anyway. Don't forget that the link to my Facebook tarot community, Tarot Readers Unite, is also in the description box if you would like to join. Please, please, please have some fun over there. Help me liven it up. Help me, you know, throw in some tarot memes. What tarot decks are you looking forward to this year? What tarot creators do you love watching their content? Things like that. Help me liven it up over there because I am only one person and there's only so much tarot content I can post. So I really hope that wherever you guys are when this video reaches you, you have a beautiful, wonderful day, my friends. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Namaste.